Welcome, welcome to another episode of StitchyTube-torial. It's like a tutorial, but it's got tube at the front. Today I'm going to show you how to do the finishing for a piece that I released at market in March of 2018 called Basket of Eggs. It is available as a chart and a kit. So ask your local shop or your favorite online source if they've got one. I will put a link below to my friend's shop, Jen's Stitching Knit. She's got them. But if you've got a shop and you're carrying them, feel free to put a link to your shop below so that I can send some business your way too. Here's what the chart looks like. And here's what the kit looks like. But it comes with 30 count Weeks Dye Works linen in straw and the overdyed threads and a cute little button there too to do the finishing. Okay, so that's what that looks like. The finished project looks like this, and it's you can set it on a shelf, on your table, on your head, wherever you want. And these boxes are available very inexpensively at Hobby Lobby in the floral department. So what they're supposed to be used for is they're these little drawers that you set down and then you build a floral arrangement up and out here. But if you tip it like this, all of a sudden it makes a really cute little display for needlework. Now here's the cool thing, is that you can use this technique for a lot of different ideas. You wouldn't have to stitch something to put in here. If you've got a pretty piece of fabric that you like, you could put it in. You could have something printed on fabric, like a family photograph, and put it in. You could put a metal behind here and put use it to attach your needle minders to the front of it. You could sew a bunch of antique buttons to a piece of fabric and put it in here. You could put strips of lace, old antique lace, across here. You can use it as a pin cushion to store fancy pins and needles that you've got. And so there really are a lot of things that you could do with this. But I'm going to show you what to do if you want to insert fabric into this drawer to make a display like this. It's really quick. So you'll need a box, and like I said, they're very inexpensive. They also come in red and green at this point, and you easily could paint over this if you needed cream or purple or whatever other color. When I got these, they were $8, but if you wait until they're half off, they're only $4. And what a cheap finishing idea. You definitely could do other designs, sampler motifs, other designers' little designs, and put in here. That's super cheap finishing. Another thing that you need is foam core, and you could also use floral foam and cut it to size to fit this opening. What I did, I like foam core. I have a long history in picture framing, and so I got foam core, and I just got scraps from my local frame shop and cut them to size with an X-Acto knife on my quilting cutting board thing with my ruler to fit inside. If you're gonna stretch linen over the top, I would definitely allow an extra 1/8 of an inch, just because that fabric is gonna create some extra width and height. And so I just cut a whole bunch of pieces of foam core to size. And then I drop my pins. And then I have an ATG gun, and if you don't have one of these, they're super handy. They're not cheap, but you will use it and use it and use it. ATG gun. And you just put a little bit of double stick tape and you attach to make a cube of foam core. That's all you do. And you could use glue. You could use glue and then just put a book on it to weight it down to make sure that it all sticks together. You also can get double stick tape products at a craft store that you can use. And then you just want it to be so that it pretty much fills up your box. You could recess it if you wanted. You could make it so it sticks out a little even, but mine is pretty much, just like right up to the edge. So that's my brick of foam core. The reason that I used foam core and not floral foam is that foam core is very, very sturdy. And I just was worried that floral foam might get dented. Now you could use floral foam with a couple of layers of foam core on the top, but a lot of times frame shops just throw these scraps away. And so you might ask your framer if they've got any that are just headed for the garbage, or offer to pay $1 or something for any scraps that they might have, and they may just give them to you. Now, I did not stitch another model to do this tutorial, but I did find this cool piece of just typewriter key fabric. And then I got a piece of batting that I just had to scrap. And I wanted mine to be padded on the front. And so I just double stick tape, and you could use hot glue. So I just double stick tape it like that. And then I'm just going to use my scissors and just trim around the edges, and just so that it's the right size. And I wouldn't tuck this around the sides, just because I feel like it's going to add a lot of extra bulk, and it might not fit back into your box very well. You could also cut this to size, you know, ahead of time, but I can't be bothered. Okay, good enough. Okay, so there it is. Then take your needlework and you're going to lay it on top of your cube, okay, and or your fabric or whatever it is that you've got. And I did iron first. Make sure that if you're ironing your needlework that you don't iron over that button. The kit comes with a Jabco button, and they are polymer clay, and they will melt. And do you know how I know they'll melt? Because I have melted them before. So make sure that you iron before, and then just gently sew that button on. When you stretch your needlework around this cube, you're going to pull on it a little bit. So if there are little wrinkles and discrepancies, you're going to pull those right out. So make sure I've got this the right way, because I don't want it to go sideways. Okay, so I just use regular pins that I get at the craft store, and I buy them in big sets like this. Sometime I will do a tutorial on how to stretch needlework, but this is kind of like a simple just demonstration of what I do to stretch needlework. It's the same exact idea. And so you're gonna get, you know, pins, get your needlework to where you want it, and then what you can do is just insert a pin into each side just to hold it in place. Now yours is going to be a little trickier than that, obviously, because you're going to want, you know, your needlework to make sure to be centered, but the pins are still sticking out, and that way you can adjust if you want. And then what I do is I start just pulling, and you just push the needle or the pin right into the side, all the way down. And you can take these back out if you find that you've kind of done it and it's a little bit wonky. So I did that side, then I flip it around, and I'm going to push one into the next side, like that. And then what I do is I work my way to the corner a few, and then flip it and do the opposite corner, and then the other side. And so you're kind of alternating back and forth, pulling a little each time, tugging and pulling until you've got that all finished up. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. That took literally just 2 minutes. So it's all stretched. The pins are all along the side. You can see I put mine maybe about a ½ inch apart or so. Don't put them too far apart, because sometimes you can get kind of a scalloped look to, you know, where your needlework fabric will kind of droop like that. And just pull a little bit as you go. And like I said, you can easily just pick a pin out, give it another tug, and stick it back in if you need to adjust. But that's what it looks like. And then one thing that I do at the end is I push down on a table against the pins when I'm done on each side. And then that will help recess the pins into the foam core. Okay, so that's what you do. Now, then there's the tricky thing of what to do about all the flappy stuff that's sticking out. The way I did mine, and you could definitely, you know, trim it, is I just treated it almost like wrapping a gift, where I just pull like that, and then just take a pin. And because this is foam core or floral foam, you can just take a pin and just push it right in and hold that flap down. And so, you know, just pull and tuck and pin, and here again, just pulled it and tucked it. There's no glue, no tape, no muss, no fuss. One thing that I did with my piece of needlework that I finished this way is that I actually did trim some of the fabric off, just because it got real bulky. Quilting fabric like this obviously is not going to be quite as bulky. And so, you know, just kind of pull and tuck and pin, pull and tuck and pin. And there's really no right or wrong way. Do you leave the pins in? Yes. Yes, I leave the pins in. There's nothing wrong with that. They're not going to get, you know, rusty. And the cool thing is that if you ever wanted to take your needlework out of the cube form and finish it as an ornament or something, you can totally just unpin it and reuse it. And so you could definitely lace, but that's another one of those things I can't be bothered with. It just takes such a long time, and I have a hard time making lacing look nice, you know, where it stays kind of put. So there's the cube, and you can see I just tucked and pinned, and then you've got your box, and you just slide it. Sorry, hit the button. So then you need to push this in. Now I didn't glue mine in place, so I could definitely pull my needlework back out the front if I wanted to. There's no need to glue it. But one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to get this, like a little bit of a bunch of the fabric kind of around as you're pushing it in. So I use this handy tool called a butter knife. I know you have one of these laying around. And you just kind of, you know, push the fabric in as you go to help it. I guess if you ever come eat at my house and need butter, you're going to know that these tools have been used for other things. But I just kind of tuck it in, push, so that everything fits. And then if you do it just right, oh my Lord, how easy is that? That's so easy. And it's not going to come out. Like I said, it's just basically friction that's holding that in there, but you definitely could pry that back out of there if you needed to or wanted to. So you're almost done. This is like the quickest, easiest finishing thing. And here's the deal. This basket of eggs piece took my friend Jennifer stitched it for me. It took her 4 hours on a trip she and her husband took in the car. And then the finishing is like a 20-minute finish. So this is definitely a Saturday or a Sunday project that you could, you know, sit down, start it, and then, you know, within a number of hours, you'll have a finished gift or a finished product. Now, I wanted, you know, to kind of countrify it up a little bit. And I had used this, what is this called? Spanish moss? Okay, Fitz. Spanish moss that you can get at the craft store in with the floral stuff. And I had used it for my candle chicking piece. And I thought it would look cute and kind of coordinate the two pieces together to have some of it at the top. And then I had, you know, some ribbon that I got on clearance after Christmas that I thought was really cute and kind of country. This was some that I got too. And it's just kind of a, you know, whatever, use what you have. And the Spanish moss is kind of stringy. And so you can just, you know, get yourself a big old chunk and make a huge mess, right? And just kind of just drape it around. And then, see if we can do this. Fits. He says, what is, oh, he says, what is that? Okay, so I'm kind of, Fits. I'm kind of draping it around, you know, so that it kind of stays on the top. And then, I know this is slightly out of view. Let me fix so you can see what I'm doing. I just have tied a knot around with kind of that moss tucked in there. Okay, so tighten it up. Let's see, can I help you see a little bit better? Okay, so there's that. And then I'm just gonna make, you know, your standard little loopy-doos. Little bow. And do I need to trim it? Maybe a little. Do this. And do this. Okay, so I just trimmed so the edges are, you know, like that. And you know me, guys, I like things wonky and weird. And so I like it kind of all draped off to the side like that. Maybe not that much. But there you go. That's the finishing. And you can mess with that as you like. You could, you don't have to use Spanish moss. You could use some twigs. You could use some dried flowers. You could use some silk flowers. You could use lace. You could tear strips of muslin or fabric and tie it around. You don't have to tie it. you could get some 3M strips, because you can pull them off your wall if you need to. Get a 3M strip and stick this to your wall and actually hang it on your wall. That would be really cute. You could actually hang it on your wall with nothing inside of it and use it as a little shelf. There just are a million things you can do with these stupid little drawers, and I can't believe I had never seen them before. But that's how you do the finishing. I promised it would be easy. It is super easy. I know that y'all are going to run out and get these now. If you go get them at Hobby Lobby, they, like I said, they're in the floral department with like the vases and boxes and things. And if you need more, like if you wanted to make a bunch of these, you can just do a special order at the front desk. Even if they're on sale, they will give you a rain check, and you can just say, hey, I'd like 10 of these, and they will order them in for you, and it takes just a couple of days for them to get as many as you need. And I mean, I got a bunch, and I sold a bunch at market just, so people could get them if they didn't have a local Hobby Lobby. But I'm just thinking of all kinds of ideas that I can do with these now. That I've, kind of come up with this idea. I hope you enjoyed it. I felt like this was very disjointed, but it's okay. I hope you noticed that I am not monetizing these, the tutorials that go with my charts. I feel like if you bought a chart, that you have paid me for my time. And so if you haven't bought one of my charts, I do encourage you to go find one. And maybe you can use this project for something else. Maybe you can use it for another piece of needlework that you have. But I just hope that you enjoy this little technique. Use it, abuse it. And thanks for stopping by my StitchyTube-torial. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Wait, I had a cool idea. As I'm editing this, I'm like, there's something more I could do. So I found this picture of my grandma that I keep around, my Grandma Jean. She was a great, great lady. And I just made a color copy on my printer. So it's not the actual original photograph. So if it gets wrecked, it's okay. And I just took a pin that I had spray painted red at one point and just pinned it right into the foam core. And so you could actually use this as a little frame to display your photographs. What a cool idea that is. Now I feel like it's complete. Yes? Okay.